Good evening. Thank you all for coming. Capital punishment is a highly debated issue in the United States. There's an overwhelming number of statistics that show why the death penalty is inhumane and unreliable. The Death Penalty Information Center has documented 42 cases of botched executions. In one instance, reporters and witnesses tell us 6 flames erupting from an inmate's head during his execution. Another witness fainted while watching. In September, Rommel Broom's execution attempt was terminated after more than 2 hours and at least 18 attempts were made by probing his arms and legs. We euthanize our animals more humanely. On February 17th of 2004, Cameron Todd Willingham was executed by lethal injection in Huntsville, Texas for the arson murder of his 3 young daughters. Since December of 2004, 5 forensics experts have concurred that each and every one of the indicators of arson in Willingham's case have been scientifically proven to be invalid. Texas Government Commission is reviewing the findings and could acknowledge that the state carried out the execution of a legally and factually innocent person. So tell me, how can a punishment that cannot be reversed in the event a mistake is made be a fair and just punishment? It's reasonable to say that our justice system is not error-proof. With the numerous errors and the extreme costs involved in capital cases, an alternative to the death penalty must be put into place. Our country is in an economic recession. Our law enforcement agencies have been forced to cut back on personnel. At a time when our funding budgets are cut to the bare minimum, we must look at more efficient and affordable options. A capital murder case costs 3 times more than a non-capital trial. A death sentence is automatically appealed. That starts the trial process and the cost all over again. It costs far more to sentence a person to death than to keep a person in prison for life. A recent New Jersey report concluded that the state's death penalty has cost taxpayers $253 million since 1983. That's a figure over and above what it would have been had the state utilized a sentence of life without parole instead of death. Over the last 23 years, more than $250 million of New Jersey's taxpayers' money has been spent on a capital punishment system that has executed not a single person. Another injustice of our legal system that we must face is the numerous errors that are made within our capital punishment system. These errors can have irreversible effects on lives. There can't be a better example than that of Cameron Todd Willingham's unfortunate execution. Misconduct by legal representation, lab errors, witness tampering, coerced confessions, and police misconduct result in erroneous convictions that lead to wrongful executions. Since 1976, 138 inmates have been exonerated and released with evidence of their innocence. This graph shows a breakdown of the inmates that were convicted, sentenced to death row, and released by the state that they were convicted in. Each of these marks depicts a life that came close to being lost due to an error within our justice system. Greg Wilhoit lost 8 years of his life when he was sentenced to die for his wife Kathy's murder in 1985. Wilhoit received a full exoneration in 1993, but he lost the opportunity to raise his 2 young daughters, his livelihood, and his physical and mental health. Sonia Jacobs was released from prison and death row in 1992 after it was found that she was convicted based on perjured information. Sonia's husband had already been executed in 1990 for the same crime based on the same perjured information. It is certain that a criminal justice system must be in place. Several of us may even support the death penalty if we could make 100% certain that an innocent person would never be executed, but that's not a possibility. There are too many factors that flaw the system. Millions of dollars a year are spent countrywide on lengthy capital trials and appeals. With the hardships our economy is facing, some law enforcement agencies have been forced to cut personnel and several states are considering the early release of nonviolent offenders to meet our dwindling budgets. More than 1,000 inmates have been executed since 1976. Serious questions have posed to the validity of many of these condemnations. Current states have proven that at least 5 inmates a year are found to be innocent. How many have been or will be executed before their innocence too is discovered? A more economic system, one that offers a chance at redemption if a mistake is made, must be put into place. I'll take a couple questions at this time.
It has been said that capital punishment is a deterrence to crime. Do you feel that crime rates would rise if the possibility of a death sentence was not a factor?
Scientific studies have consistently failed to demonstrate that execution deters people from committing crime any more than long-term prison sentences.
You stated that legal representation was the leading cause for error. Do you feel that setting higher guidelines for attorneys to be eligible to try a capital case would benefit the capital punishment system?
Even if legal representation caused 0 errors, there are still too many factors that flaw the system. We have to have a punishment set that can be corrected in the event of an error. Thank you all for attending tonight. Have a good evening.